You ever have one of those mornings when you just know the universe woke up cranky? Yeah, that was me, a few months back. Saturday morning, coffee barely poured, and I hear this deep diesel growl outside my window. I pull the curtain, and there it is, a massive orange dumpster parked right in my driveway. Took up half the street. Not mine, technically, but sort of mine. I'd rented it to clean out my garage. 10 years worth of junk, memories, and regret. I was actually feeling good about finally getting my life uncluttered. But in my neighborhood, peace never lasts long. Because that was the exact moment Donna Ellis, our HOA president, decided she was the sheriff of suburbia. By 9 o'clock, she was out front, clipboard in hand, wearing that smug little smile she saved for moments when she thought she'd caught someone sinning against the sacred code of lawn perfection. This, she said, tapping the side of the dumpster with her pen, violates Section 14B, temporary containers visible from the street. I told her it was just for the weekend, that I had a permit, that it'd be gone before Monday. But she just grinned that tight, condescending grin that said, "You poor rule-breaking fool." The next day, I got a letter in the mail. $500 for cleaning out my own damn garage. Now, I could have just paid it, like everyone else around here. But something about the way she wrote that letter, failure to comply will result in further penalties, it got under my skin. Because Donna wasn't just enforcing rules, she was feeding off control. She fined people for things like a tricycle left on a porch or a car that looked too sporty. It wasn't about order, it was about power. And for the first time, I realized someone needed to push back. So I did what any sane person with a bit of spite would do. I started playing her game. Documented every conversation, every notice, every ridiculous memo she sent out. And then I started showing up to HOA meetings, quiet, polite, just taking notes. She hated that. Every time she saw me in the back row, pen tapping on paper, her voice got tighter, her cheeks pinker. One night, after she made some dramatic speech about maintaining neighborhood integrity, I raised my hand and asked, as casually as I could, "Donna, just to clarify, does that rule come from county ordinance, or is it an HOA preference?" The room went dead quiet. She stuttered. For the first time, people started to question her authority, and I could feel the tide turning. 2 weeks later, karma showed up disguised as a phone call. My contractor said, "Hey, man, we've got a spare dumpster from a canceled job. Want us to store it somewhere for a day?" I laughed, and before I could stop myself, I said, "Sure. I think I know the perfect driveway." I didn't tell him whose. Just gave him the address of the community office, the one attached to Donna's house. By sunset, that giant orange dumpster landed squarely in her pristine driveway, blocking her Lexus and her precious hydrangeas. I watched from my living room window as she ran outside in her bathrobe, waving her clipboard like a sword. "Move it. Get that thing out of here." The workers shrugged. "Sorry, ma'am. Delivery says HOA president's address." The look on her face, pure meltdown. The whole neighborhood heard her yelling. Someone even taped a note to the dumpster that said, "Looks great, Donna. Perfectly within HOA standards." That night, for the first time in months, I slept like a baby. But Donna wasn't the kind of woman who takes humiliation lying down. The next morning, there was another fine notice taped to my door. She'd found a new violation. Apparently my mailbox was too tall by half an inch. It was petty, and it was personal. But instead of getting angry, I dug deeper. I pulled out the HOA's original charter, spent hours reading through legal gibberish until I found it. Article 9, Section C. Turns out, my house sat on a parcel annexed later, meaning I wasn't technically under full HOA authority, which meant she had no power over me. I sent her a certified letter quoting the clause word for word. That same afternoon, she called me, furious. "You can't just opt out," she yelled. I said, "Donna, I didn't opt out. I just never opted in." Then I hung up. That was the spark that lit the wildfire. She tried everything after that: false reports, towing requests, harassment emails. And every time, I responded with documents, recordings, and cold, undeniable proof. The more I stood my ground, the more unhinged she became. Until one night, she crossed the line. I was half asleep when I heard a low mechanical rumble outside. I looked out my window and saw a small loader truck parked by my shed, and Donna, in a hoodie, climbing into the driver's seat. She was actually trying to tear down my shed herself. I ran out barefoot, shouting, "Donna, are you out of your mind?" She froze, eyes wild, hair everywhere. You ruined everything, she screamed. They're voting me out because of you. The loader sputtered and died, and within minutes, half the neighborhood was outside watching as the police rolled up. They led her away in handcuffs. I didn't press charges. I didn't have to. Seeing her sitting on the curb, trembling under flashing lights, that was punishment enough. After that, things got quiet for a while. The board voted her out unanimously, the fines disappeared, and for the first time, the neighborhood started to breathe again. But peace doesn't last long when the devil's got offspring. A month later, a moving truck pulled into Donna's old driveway. New tenant, Ethan Ellis, her son, the golden boy she used to brag about. And the moment I saw him smirk at me across the street, I knew round two had just begun. Ethan started off polite, offering to help with community maintenance, trimming hedges that weren't his, repainting curbs, all under the name of reviving the neighborhood spirit. But then, little by little, the memos returned. Friendly reminders about lawn height, mailbox colors, trash can visibility. All signed, E. Ellis, Community Standards Coordinator. The man had appointed himself dictator in training. I could have ignored it, but then I realized something. This wasn't just revenge. He was rebuilding his mother's empire. So I made one phone call. To a friend of mine, a local journalist named Matt. I told him everything. Donna, the fines, the dumpsters, the meltdown, and now Ethan's little coup. He laughed so hard he nearly choked. You mind if I send a crew? He said. 2 days later, a news van rolled through our cul-de-sac. They interviewed half the block. One old neighbor said, "It's like a soap opera, but with better lawns." The story blew up. Headline read, "Mother-son HOA tyrants return to rural suburbia." It went viral locally. And then, the punchline. 4 days later, I got a call from the city's waste department. "Mr. Parker," the woman said, barely holding in laughter. "We have a scheduled delivery for 512 Crestwood Lane, authorized by an E. Ellis." I nearly dropped my phone. "Go ahead," I said. "Deliver it exactly as scheduled." That Friday morning, I stood on my porch, coffee in hand, watching deja vu unfold like a movie. Same orange dumpster. Same crane truck. Same chaos. Except this time, it landed right in front of Ethan's shiny new truck, and Donna, who'd apparently been hiding out at his house, came running out screaming, "Not again." The neighborhood lost it. People were filming, laughing, calling it season 2. Someone taped a sign on the side that said, "Return of the bin." It was poetic justice on wheels. But of course, they didn't go quietly. A week later, I got a visit from 2 men in suits. Municipal fraud investigators. Donna had filed a complaint saying I'd falsified work authorizations to have dumpsters illegally delivered. I let them in, poured them coffee, and showed them every single receipt, email, and timestamp proving the deliveries came from Ethan's own account. When they left, one of them said, "Off the record, Mr. Parker, looks like they're digging their own grave." That night, Donna posted on the neighborhood page, calling me a criminal under investigation. It would have been infuriating if it wasn't so pathetic. The next morning, Matt dropped another story. Former HOA president files false fraud report. It hit every local news feed. By sunset, Donna and Ethan had become memes. My favorite one, Donna wearing a crown made of trash bags. Caption, "Queen of Waste Management." After that, they finally moved out. The moving truck came quietly one morning, no goodbyes, no glares, just boxes and silence. But when I checked my mailbox later that day, there was a single envelope. No name, no return address. Inside, a note in shaky handwriting. "This isn't over." I smiled. Because maybe it wasn't. But for the first time in years, the street felt light. Kids were playing outside again. People actually talking without whispering. And I realized, maybe the only thing stronger than control is community. And you know, every time I pass that old driveway, I still picture that giant orange dumpster sitting there like a monument to poetic justice. Sometimes I even think, if another Donna ever moves in, I've still got the waste company on speed dial. So, tell me what you think. Was I right to fight back? Or did I go too far? Drop your thoughts below, because around here, everyone's got an opinion about justice and dumpsters.